Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a video showing you guys all the books I'm going to unhaul. I have been wanting to put these in a bag and get these out of my house for a while, but I keep putting off this video for whatever reason. I just keep forgetting to film it, so I'm going to film it today. And also, if you guys have a strong case that you want to make for any of these books, please do it, because sometimes you have a book on your shelf, you just never get around to reading it, you kind of lose interest in it, but like sometimes if somebody has a really strong opinion about a book and they're like, it was so good, like please read it, it like reignites my excitement about the book. So if you guys think I should read any of these books and you don't think I should unhaul them, let me know and I will keep them around and hopefully try to get to them at some point. So let's go ahead and just get into this video. A lot of these books I have read, I just don't feel like I really need to keep them around. So a lot of these books I'm actually going to try to sell to my local kind of bookstore. It's like a used bookstore where you can get like credit and then you can like buy new books with your credit. And then whatever books they don't buy, I will put into little free libraries and things like that. So the first book is this one. This is This Animal Body by Meredith Walters. I read this book this year and I hated it. And I just don't want to keep it around. I'm tired of keeping around books that I don't like simply to put them in like end of the year videos and stuff like that. And this book was just so underwhelming to me. I did not like it at all. In fact, a lot of moments in this book, it just really made me mad more than anything else. And I'm so mad that I pushed through till the end. Like, this is one of those books that you should have DNF'd. You knew you should have DNF'd it in like the middle of the book, but you pushed through and you're kind of mad at yourself for not like following your instinct. That's kind of what this book is for me. And so whenever I look at it, I get pissed. So that book has to go. Next up is One by One by Freida McFadden. As you guys know, I read this earlier this year and this was great. Freida McFadden is kind of a fun little author, but I don't have to keep these kinds of books around. I feel like these are totally books where you like read them and then pass them along. And that's what I'm going to be doing with this one. I think I got this in a little free library and I'm just going to probably put it back in a little free library. The next one is Kyland by Mia Sheridan. So I love Mia Sheridan. I've read a ton of her books and a lot of her books are some of my all-time favorites, but this one just didn't hit the same as some of her other ones. I was just not quite as happy with this one. It was a cute story and it was a fun read. Like, I'm glad I read it. It just didn't hit the way that some of her other books do. So I'm just gonna pass this one along. Somebody will like it more than me. And yeah, I'm glad I read it. I just don't need to keep it. Next is My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. This book has been on my TBR for a while and I did end up reading this, I think last year, or did I read this year? I'm actually not sure. But this was fun. I actually thought this book was kind of a fun, campy romance that was meant to not be taken too seriously. The thing I liked about this book actually was some of the steamy scenes. Like, you know how some authors really just know how to write them and they write them really well? I feel like this author just has that skill. I don't know. But overall, this book wasn't anything that like stuck with me, so I have to get rid of it because I'm just not like obsessed with it, and I don't really feel like I'm gonna read like the next ones in the series because I know that they're like companion novels. Next up is The Fine Print, and this is by Lauren Asher. I read this way back, like right when it first came out, and I remember being obsessed with the premise. It was like the heir of Disneyland, and this was a cute story. Like, I'm a Disneyland girl, so there was definitely a part of me that like really wanted to like this, but there was something about the characters that didn't really work for me. They felt a little bit too different. Like, you know when Grumpy Sunshine works really well, but then sometimes it doesn't work because they just feel too different. Like, this is one of those books where you're like, that couple did not last, like, after this book was over. Like, that's the vibes I got from them. There was just something lacking for me with the connection between the characters. The next one is The Cellar. This is by Natasha Preston. This was really a fun little, like, YA thriller. It's about a girl who was abducted and she is put down in this like basement cellar with like 3 or 4 other girls, and they're all named after flowers, and the abductor comes down and kind of treats them like family in this weird way. It's like a really weird like abduction story. It was actually really entertaining. I enjoyed this book while I was reading it. I think I gave it like 4 stars. But this is again one of those books that I just don't really need to keep on my shelf. I don't need, like, I'm not gonna reread it probably. Then we have The Road by McCormick McCarthy. This one, I didn't like this book, and I know that this is one of those books you either love it or you're just kind of so-so on it. I know the people that really love this book absolutely love it, and I did watch the movie and I remember kind of liking the movie. And this book just has like a really bleak vibe to it, like through the whole entire thing, just like the movie does. And there's something about it that feels kind of like a trudge to get through. I don't know if it's his writing style or whatever. I mean, I know he was trying to make this book really bleak, but it just, I was really kind of bored through a lot of this book, if I'm being honest. It was just a lot of the same thing over and over again. I do like some of the aspects of this book. I do like the ending of this book. I just don't think that the entire book was like enough to like hold up that ending, if that makes sense. Like I just got bored. And then we have Shadow Song by S.J. Jones. So as you guys know, I love Winter Song. I actually have it on my shelf over here somewhere. And that was like my favorite YA fantasy when I first started reading fantasy, because I remember I had never read fantasy before, and it was like the first romantic fantasy that I ever read, and it was like it opened like this whole new door for me. I feel like everyone has that experience with their first like romantic fantasy. And I remember just falling in love with that book specifically, and it kind of got me into reading other books as well. But this book came out like a year or two later, and this was a duology. So this was the second book in the Winter Song duology, and I loved Winter Song, but then I read this one and I hated it so much. I gave this book 2 stars. It was nothing like what Winter Song did for me at the time, and I was just so sad because I remember being so excited for this book to come out. I was like counting down the days because I loved Winter Song so much, and it was just so disappointing, and it's just been sitting on my shelf because I didn't want to like split up the series. But if I ever decide to read Winter Song again, I'm not going to read this one afterwards. Like, it's never going to happen. I did not like this. I thought it was so boring. So why keep it? Like, I don't need to keep a duology together if I never plan on reading the second book. Next up is Fever Dream by Samantha Schweblin. I read this one recently, and this was fun. This was like a 3-star book, but this is like one of those books where you read it and then you kind of enjoy it for what it is, and then you just kind of move on from it after that. Like, this book didn't do a ton for me. It was enjoyable, but it's definitely not one of those books I need to keep around by any means. I'm also getting rid of Dune. So I picked this up from a little free library, and I know Travis is obsessed with Dune. He's read Dune twice, and so I decided to pick it up because I was like, I remember Travis one time saying he wanted to read it again, but I just don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. And if he does decide to want to read it again, we can buy it, or he can get it on my Kindle or something like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this back in the little free library that I got it in. I just don't think we need this around, even if he does want to read it again. And I'm not going to read Dune, I don't think so. The next one is The Chaos of Standing Still. I have had this book forever. This book has been on my shelves forever, and I did read this book and I actually gave this 5 stars. This is a great little YA book. It has such a awesome message. I love the end. I loved like the growth that the main character went through, and like her realizations at the end I thought were really, really good. And I love airport settings. Like, I love airports in general, and so this book taking place in an airport was like really fun for me. I don't know. But I gave this book 5 stars, and so I just kind of kept it around because I'm like, oh, that was a 5-star book. I have to keep around my 5-star books. And even though this book was a 5-star read, I just don't think I'm actually going to reread it again. Like, I can say a book was 5 stars, but not feel the need to reread it again. You know what I mean? And this is one of those books. It was good, it was fun, it was 5 stars, but it's just not something that I probably need to keep. And if I do want to read it again, like, I can get it from the library or something. Next up is Home Before Dark. This one was okay. I liked this, but it was just kind of a so-so thriller. It's like one of those thrillers that's like kind of fun while you're reading it, but then it just kind of like leaves your brain. That's kind of what this was for me. I do remember the twist was just kind of unrealistic to me. I remember kind of rolling my eyes at the twist a little bit. One of the main reasons though why I've kept this around for as long as I had, you guys are gonna hate me for saying this, but I don't even care. It's because the spine was this gorgeous shade of green, and it like worked so well with my rainbow shelf because of the green spine. I'm sorry, but I kept it around for that stupid reason. But you know what? It's time for it to go. I didn't really like this book that much. I think I gave it 3 stars, and it just does not need to be taking up room on my shelf. Next is Little Fires Everywhere. I picked this up at Goodwill for $4.99, and if I'm being honest, like, I thought, okay, maybe I will read this. Maybe. But one thing I've kind of learned since I bought this book is that I'm not really a big domestic thriller person. I just don't love them. I don't like a lot of family drama in my books, but it's like this certain type of family drama. It's like communal drama with like families and then like neighbors and stuff like that. It's just something I don't love in books for whatever reason, and I have a feeling this is kind of like that, so I think I'm just gonna pass on it. There's just books that I would rather read more than this one, I think. So next was Martha Wells' All Systems Red. This book I just am ready to move on from. I read this year, didn't really like it. I gave it 2 stars. I really thought I was gonna love this book series. I bought this quite a while ago, and I just kind of put off reading it, but I really, really, really thought that I was going to love this series. It's like a little novella sci-fi thing, and I just felt so disconnected from this. Like, the fact that this is only like 100-something pages, and I literally felt like this book was like 400 pages, says a lot. I didn't hate everything about it, but definitely not my favorite thing I've ever read, so that definitely has to go. So this one I'm kind of unsure about. This is Neon Gods by Katie Roberts. So this is like a romantasy, kind of like Hades and Persephone thing, Greek gods, stuff like that. I just don't think that this is my kind of romance. Like, I like romance, and I like that like really heavy Hades and Persephone style romance where it's like really intense. Like, I love intense romance, but I also don't like BDSM-y, very, very, very smutty. Like, the whole book is literally for the, you know, steamy scenes. I'm not really into that kind of romance. Like, I want the romance to be like the main part, like the romance, right? The romance is what I care about, and I want it to be like a really strong, passionate romance. But like, I want the steam to come far second. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't think that this is what I'm looking for. And so I'm just kind of thinking, no. But if you guys disagree, like if I don't know what I'm talking about and you think this book is up my alley, let me know and I'll read it. But I just, from what I've heard, I don't know if it's my thing. Okay, next up is Between Wrath and Mercy and Between Despair and Hope. So I read both of these books, and actually I have a special edition. So I have this special edition of Between Wrath and Mercy that I got in my bookish box, and I actually didn't read this one. I read this one. And you know, sometimes when you read a book and then you have the special edition, you like want to keep the one that you read, but then you also want to keep the special edition. I don't know what that's about. It's just like a weird reader thing. Plus this one had like a whole bunch of tabs in it as well. I just took them all out. So I was like keeping them both around because I was like, I read this one and this one's my special edition, but that's so stupid. Like, I know it's stupid. So I'm going to get rid of these ones. These are like the indie paperbacks. Now the thing about it is I didn't like the second book. So I didn't need to keep this one at all, but this is one of those things where it's like you don't want to split up the series, so you keep the second one around even though you didn't really like it that much. Well, I was like, I don't like this book, so why am I keeping it? So it's like, that one has to go. But then I was down to these two, and I was like, why would I keep this one when I have this one? Because I did like this first book. The first book was really good. I really liked it. But I'm like, I don't need to keep them both. So since I'm getting rid of the paperback in the second one, I'll just get rid of the paperback in the first one. And then I'll keep my special edition since I really liked this story. I'll keep the special edition, you know? That's my reasoning. Like, you guys needed to know all the details, but that's what it is. I think I'm going to actually give this to my cousin because she's looking for some good romanticies and she might really like this. My cousin is a way faster reader than me. Like, she gets through books a lot faster than me, and she does a little bit better with like these big giant chunkers. I don't like those like really, really dense, like info dumpy style books, but my cousin does a lot better with those for some reason. So I think she actually might like those. The thing about those books that are great is that they have a like older main character. So the main character's in her like late 30s or 40s, and she has a like teenage daughter. So the like romance is between like older adults, which is really nice. They're not like 20-year-olds. So that's the nice thing about those books. But next is The Lovely War by Julie Berry. This book I just didn't really like that much. It's got really, really popular, what was it, in like 2020 or something like that? But I read it the year it came out. And it's been sitting on my shelf for a really long time. I don't know why. Like, do you guys ever keep books around and you're like, why have I kept this book around for so long? It makes no sense. Because I gave this 3 stars. It was not impactful to me at all. So I think it's ready to kind of move along. I'm going to try to give this to my, to the place that buys books. I think I just kind of kept it around because I really wanted to like that book. Maybe that's what it is. Like, do you guys ever keep books around that you really wanted to like but you like didn't love it? That's kind of what I feel like that book is. I don't know. Next is The Hunting Party. So I read The Guest List by Lucy Foley. And I really liked The Guest List, actually. I read that while I was wrapping presents for Christmas one year, and I got so invested in that book. But the thing about her writing style is it's like audiobook writing style. Like, it's a writing style that I prefer to read via audio. And so I don't think I'm going to physically read this one. So if I do ever want to read The Hunting Party, I will just listen to it. So I don't really need to keep the physical copy of it. Okay, so these are books that my sister-in-law's taking. I sent her a picture of all of these books, and these are the ones that she chose that she wanted to keep. This is The Girls I've Been. This is by Tess Sharp. This is like a bank robber YA story, and it's about a girl who grew up with a mom that was like a con artist, and so this mom kind of taught her how to be a con artist. And so in this bank robbery she uses all the things that she learned when she was a child, and it kind of like goes back in time and like shows all of the different characters that this little girl had to play when she was young to kind of con these men. It's actually a really good story. I really liked this. My sister-in-law said she didn't want this one actually, but I'm putting it in the pile because I think that she'll like this. This was kind of a fun, unique storyline, and I think this would be a great movie. Next is The Moonlight Child. I saw this book on TikTok one time, and I was so like interested in this book because of what the person said on TikTok. And I ended up seeing it at Goodwill, and I was like, oh my god, that's that book that that girl was raving about on TikTok. So I picked it up and I bought it. I ended up reading it, and it was okay. Like, it wasn't the greatest book ever. I wasn't super shocked by anything. It did have like a very drama, kind of like realistic twist where it kind of keeps you in reality. It's not like super far-fetched. It's just kind of like sad and like drama heavy, if that makes sense. It just really wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be, so I'm moving it along. Next is Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I read this. This was okay. I didn't love the like certain aspects of this book. There was definitely some like weird parts of this book. And I also felt like this book was like really long for some reason. I don't know what it was about this book, but it felt so like it took me forever to read. It's like the longest feeling plotline ever. I just remember not being as invested in the characters as I wanted to be with this one, and I don't know, it just wasn't my favorite thing. But next is Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry. So I read this probably in like 2018 or something like that, and this has been sitting on my shelf for a really long time. Again, I don't know why some of these books sit on my shelf for so long. Like, this did not need to be sitting on my shelf because I knew I was never going to read this again. It just kind of never made the cut, you know what I mean? But this is about a kid who's at school who, he goes to like a Catholic school, and he is an atheist, and he ends up finding this like underground club of kids that are not Catholic. Like, they have all different types of faiths, but they like create this club and they become friends. And I honestly don't even remember what the point of the story was. It's been so long since I read it. I do remember it being sort of kind of impactful at the time, but again, like, I will never read this again. I don't know why I've kept it around for as long as I have. Next is Ward D by Freida McFadden. Again, read this year. It was great. It was fine. Freida McFadden books, though, don't really need to be kept around. Like, I could just pass this along. I think I got that for like $1 at a thrift store. Then When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This is another book that I read this year, and it was fine, but definitely not my favorite romance. I was very like so-so on this one. Like, I remember reading it and being like, I just didn't feel anything. There were some unrealistic elements of this book that kind of annoyed me, so I just kind of put it down and was just kind of like, you know, like, okay, on to the next. Like, that's what this book felt like to me. Next is Everland by Wendy Spinelli. So this is a Peter Pan type of retelling, and I bought this because I was really interested in it. I just don't know if I'm ever going to get around to reading this. This has been on my shelf for quite a while, and I was kind of hoping that maybe one day I would be inspired to read it, and it just has never happened, and I don't know if it ever will, and I'm fine with that. Had it on my shelf for a while to kind of feel out, but it just never caught my interest enough to like want to read it. Next is Forbidden by Tabitha Sumuza. So I bought this book ages ago. I swear, I think I bought this book in like 2017. And this book is taboo. Like, I love a good taboo book that like talks about subjects that make people uncomfortable, because I think it's interesting. I do. In fact, I was thinking about doing one of those videos, you know, like Read This If videos, but for taboo books, like if you like taboo things. And I'm not talking like dark romance. That's not what I mean by taboo. I'm talking about like realistic, like literary stories about taboo subjects. And this is that. So this is about a brother and a sister that are raised in this horrible, horrible household, and they end up becoming very, very close because they have to raise their siblings, and they become like so close that they fall in love. I know that sounds disgusting, but I've heard it's fantastically done. Like, you feel so bad for these kids because you know that they can't be together, and it's confusing, and it's like a really messed up situation, and I've heard it's good, but I've just never read it. This is another one of those books where I want you guys to tell me if I should read it or not, if you think it's worth it, because it's just been sitting on my shelf since like 2018, so let me know. Next up is The Decent Proposal. This is by Kemper Donovan. This I've had on my shelf for a long time as well. Again, never just got around to reading it. I got this because I was like, I like to have romances on my shelf just in case I'm in the romance mood. Like, I like to have them available to me. But since I bought this, I have plenty of romances on my shelf that I could read and would want to read before this one. So I just think this one should go because I've never even thought about reading it once. So I'm gonna pass this one along, and I don't think I'm gonna miss it. So that is it, you guys. That is all the books I'm unhauling. I'm really excited to kind of get these out of my hair. I definitely cleared up some space on my shelves. I love having some room so I don't have to worry about like where I'm going to put my new books. And it's just really nice to just get rid of books that you are just not super attached to. So let me know in the comments below if you think that I should keep any of these, if you think that they're worth reading, or if like you absolutely loved them, because if you did, I would be happy to read them. It's just kind of hard to know sometimes. So that is it, you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.